Now, we may today be on the cusp of such a great moment. God knows the challenges before us rival those great moments in the past. We may today be at the point where one man can indeed again unite us instead of dividing us. The point where the center can hold, where the shrill diatribes of the zealots on the right and on the left are overwhelmed by a reasoned, patient consensus of the middle, where ceremonies of innocence are not drowned out by the angry voices from the lunatic fringe. Now, Jesus himself was tempted again and again by extremes. Among his own disciples there was a fellow named Simon the Zealot. And all the zealots and the crowds that followed Jesus, they wanted him to assume military power, come to leadership, and drive those hated Romans back into the sea. Jesus aimed his angriest words at that rigid extremist sect of the Pharisees. He could have escaped the desert, like the Essenes who lived in the area where the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered, who turned their backs on the temple and the world. But he resisted and was center held, because God is not an extremist. God is not a radical. Jesus drew people to himself from every corner, from all walks of life, the rich, the poor, the insiders, the outcasts, those on the left, those on the right. He drew them all to him in the center. All manners of pundits and radicals today want to say that Jesus was a radical just like them. Jesus was the ultimate extremist just like them. Jesus was an absolutist. But every time Jesus met that kind of extremism, he turned away. Every time he encountered radicalism, he instead offered a new way, a better way. Pharisees, Essenes, Zealots, all the extremists, all offering radical solutions to the nation's problems. And Jesus offers forgiveness and grace. Grace is God's own limitless power that changes everything, but it is not radical. It is the exact opposite of extremism, because grace draws in, grace forgives, and grace embraces. Martin Luther King Jr., whose legacy we celebrate this weekend, was not the radical that many people say he was. He said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Radicals cannot see such an arc. That bending can only be seen, only discerned from the center. Radicals see straight lines, only black and white divisions, only absolutes. The last of the Star Wars episodes, Obi-Wan Kenobi stares down Anakin Skywalker and he says, only a Sith talks in absolutes. I thought that was kind of funny. I thought the Jedi were a little bit absolute and stuff. But Martin Luther King, rather, he saw a colorful world without divisions of color. A world of both and, not of either or. I have a dream, he said, where the world where my 4 children will be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. That is the picture of the middle, the center that holds, where instead it is the best who are full of passion and intensity, and the worst have their shows canceled for lack of interest. That's the world we want to live in, the world God called Samuel the prophet to foresee and to nurture. The world where Jesus called Andrew and Nathaniel to bring it to fruition. The world that we might fashion in our lifetime if we come together at that gracious center, not at the radical, judgmental edges, and meet the challenges that face us. So may God grant us all the courage and the patience and and the will to do so. All of us, right, left, black, white, rich, and poor together. May God guide us and our leaders, all of them from every political persuasion, to lead from that gracious center to seek the common good here in this great nation and in